Okay, so I've shared my whiteboard and we are discussing the very first chapter, chapter number, uh, chapter number 1, that is quadratics. Okay, acha. What is quadratics? The basic thing is which you need to understand the very first thing, a quadratic expression or a quadratic equation, right? When we talk about quadratic, think of power 2, right? So the general form of a quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0. Why is a not 0? If a is 0, this would mean that this is no more a quadratic equation. In fact, it becomes a linear equation because the highest power or the degree of this equation is 1, right? So this is why a can never be 0, and this is the general form. Then we discussed how to make factors and all that. I will not discuss that again. Today we have to talk about the plotting of a quadratic curve. Okay? Right. Now, obviously, when I say that this is the general form, let's talk about some mixed examples. It could be that our quadratic equation is y equals x square, or maybe y equals x square plus 2x plus 1. Maybe it could be y equals 2x square. Okay. ये सारी types हैं. Also, it could be y equals x plus 1 square. Why? Because x plus 1 whole square, when we open this up, what do we get? Square of x plus 2 into x into 1 plus 1, right? This means that all of these are different types of quadratic equations. Do you get this?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Also, we have a third type. This में could be we have x plus 1 square plus 2. ठीक है? इसको भी when we will open up, we will get x square plus 2x plus 1 plus 2. So this means that it would be x square plus 2x plus 3. ठीक है? All these are somehow, somewhat a quadratic equation, but we need to discuss the plotting. Okay, so let's talk about plotting. Let's talk about the graph of a quadratic equation. Okay, so let's start off our discussion with the very basic quadratic equation, that is y equals x squared. Okay, this is the simplest form of any quadratic equation. How do we plot this quadratic equation? If you understand this, you would be able to understand the plotting of every other quadratic equation. Acha, it is y equals x square. Y equals x square has a certain shape of this type, and we call it a parabola, right? This is a parabola, and this is how we plot it. And why do we plot it this way? For this, what you can do is you can just take some random values of x and y, in fact, the corresponding values of y. For example, if I'm taking x here and y here, I will say that if x is, let's say, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, we need to think of the corresponding values of y. By corresponding values of y, what do I mean? You have to use this equation and these values of x to find y. So y equals x square. So -3 square would be 9, right? This is 9. Then y equals x square again. This is the formula. So minus 2 square would be 4. So we will get 941,014, right? Now, if you try plotting it on a graph which has a y-axis and an x-axis, you will get a parabola, okay? So you don't have to get into these details because they will ask you to sketch. When they ask you to sketch, you don't have to use a graphing paper and all that. You will have a blank space and there you will be sketching the parabola. So any questions so far? Anything that you have not understood? Gayatri and Haris, please answer me. Okay. Let's talk about another equation that is the opposite of this one. Let's say we have to plot y equals minus x square, right? This is what we have to plot. What are we going to get for this one? This one was for y equals x square. When we have minus, it means that everything would be inverted. So we will have this shape of a parabola, right? Like everything should be same, only the graph should be inverted, this type of a graph. And this is touching the origin, that is 0, 0 point. Anything that you have not understood? Okay. Now let's upgrade our discussion. Let's talk about some more quadratic equations of this type. Let's say I have y equals x plus 1 whole square. Okay. Now I know that this is a quadratic equation because if I expand it, I'm going to get x square plus 2x plus 1, right? But forget about this. You cannot plot using this. You cannot plot using this. You can plot using this. Okay, let's see how to plot using this. Okay, so again, we know that y equals x square has the minimum point over here, right? But when we add 1 to x, we shift this minimum point from 0, 0 to this point that is minus 1, right? So this would be the shape of our parabola. So the point which you need to remember is that when we are adding 1 to x, initially this was x square only. So parabola had this shape, right? When we add 1 to x, we move the graph 1 unit left, right? This is left. Okay. And okay. Right. And we have to know that we can find this value. Can anyone tell me how to find this value? This value of the graph? Think about it.
0, 0.
Wait.
नहीं 0,
Okay. X is 0, right? X is 0. ऐसा ही है. Very well done. You're very close. We will use 0 plus 1 square. Okay. We will use this equation and we will get y equals 1. This means that when x is 0, y is 1. When x is 0, y is 1. So this is the intercept, right? Is this understood?
Yes, good.
Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about some more examples. Let's say, okay, let's say this time I add 1. Okay, this one was added in x and this one is added in general, right? So अगर आप इसको इस तरह सोचें, this is y, we have added this one in y. This means that y will move 1 unit up. Okay, don't get confused. When we add 1 to x, our graph moves towards the left side. But when we add 1 to y, our graph moves one step above, okay? So this blue graph would become, this is 1. Oh, sorry. Something of this sort, right? And what would this be? Again, you have to use the same logic. What is the value of x here? The value of x is 0 because this is y-axis. So y equals 0 plus 1 square plus 1 will give me y equals 2. So this is 0 comma 2, right? Have you understood this? What is the concept? The concept is when we add 1 to x, our graph moves 1 unit left. And when we add 1 to y like this way, our graph moves 1 unit above. Okay. Now what if I say I will rub these two and now I'm going to subtract it. Okay. This time I'm going to do y equals x minus 1 square. Okay. Initially I was adding 1, now I am subtracting 1. What is the usual shape? The usual shape of any parabola is this one, right? What is the equation? The equation is y equals x square. And for the blue equation, for this equation, what are we gonna get? We will move our graph 1 unit right. So this point will come here, and now we will have 1 0. And again, we need to find this point. What is the value of x at this point? X is 0. So y would be 0 minus 1 square. Square of any negative number is positive. It is 1. This would be 1, right? So are you okay with this plotting and everything?
मिस जब प्लस होगा तो हम लेफ्ट पे साइड पे मूव करेगा हमारा ग्राफ और जब नेगेटिव में होगा तो हमारा राइट साइड मूव करेगा.
Exactly. It looks like a opposite concept here, but you have to learn this, okay?
Okay, got it.
Okay, perfect. Now, if I subtract 1, what is going to happen? We are going to get, I'll plot it with red. Acha, this time we are subtracting 1 in y. Our graph will move 1 unit down. Okay, so this is minus 1. Initially, our graph was at 0, y equals 0. Now it will become at y equals minus 1. So this would be the curve. Okay, and in this case, we need to focus on two things. What is this value? What is this value? And what is this value? I will rub all the other graphs. Okay. Okay. Acha. Now I am interested in finding out, let's say this value. Okay. So what is the x coordinate? X coordinate is 0. Y would be, although it looks like it's passing from origin, but we need to find out. 0 minus 1 square minus 1. We will get 1 minus 1, that is 0. So it has been proved that the graph will have the y-intercept 0. Okay. And now we have to find this point. Okay. So what is this point? At this point, y is 0. So we need to use the same equation with y equals 0. So we will have 0 equals x minus 1 square minus 1, and we need to find it out. Okay, I can take this one to that side. 1 equals x minus 1 square. In order to get rid of the square, I will take under root on both sides, and this will give me plus minus 1 equals x minus 1, right? Now this is not one equation. These are two equations which can be written as 1 equals x minus 1 and minus 1 equals x minus 1. Okay. So for this one, we will get x equals 2. This means this x would be 2. And for this one, we will get x equals 0. This means this x would be 0, right? Have you understood this? Okay, Gayatri, what about you?
Got it.
Okay. Now let's talk about y equals minus x plus 1 square. Okay, so can anyone tell me इसका graph कैसे बनेगा? Any idea? We will be using the same logic. The only difference is this minus sign this time. So think about it.
A negative slope बनेगा नीचे की side.
Okay, and like this one?
Yes.
Okay. And what about this plus 1? This would have been the graph for y equals minus x square. Since we are adding 1 to y, we know that whenever we add 1 to y, our graph moves 1 unit to the left. So we will get minus 1. Sorry. We will get this. Okay. What would be the value at this point? We need to find that because we know this is y, this is x. At this point, since this is the y-axis, so x is 0. So y equals minus 0 plus 1 square. Y is minus 1. Okay. So this was the equation. We have a negative sign here. Okay, Haris? I told you that in the very beginning that the graph of y equals minus x square would be
Excuse me, miss.
yes.
आपने x की जगह 0 वैल्यू क्यों पुट की जबकि हमारे पास -1 है?
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay. अच्छा, initially we know that y equals minus x square का graph ऐसे होता है, ठीक है? When we are adding 1 to it, what is the difference in this equation and in this equation? We are adding 1. I told you when we add 1, we move 1 unit to the left. So we would get this type of a graph. Okay, now we are interested in this Gayatri. At this point we have to refer to our equation again, but in order to find the value of y at this point we need to have x. So this is 0 0, and this whole line, this whole y-axis has the value y equals 0, right? At y-axis x is 0 and at x-axis y is 0. Since we are interested in finding out this point, x would be 0, y equals minus 0 plus 1 square. This will give me minus 1. This would be minus 1. आप समझ आया ये?
Yes, miss.
Okay. And now what if I say I add 1? What do I get? I'm adding 1. I know that when I add 1 to y, my graph will move 1 unit upward. So it would be here. Okay, and this would be the shape, right? This would be the shape. But now we need to talk about one thing. And that thing is that what is the value of this point and this point? Again, what do we know? What is this line? What is the equation of this red line? This x-axis? What is the equation of x-axis? Yes. What is the equation of x-axis? That y is 0, right? So I will write y0 equals minus x plus 1 square plus 1. I will take this one to the other side and I'm going to get minus 1 equals x plus 1 square. यहाँ पे minus था, minus minus would be cancelled. 1 equals x square plus 2x plus 1, and this is going to give me 1 and 1 would be cancelled, and 0 equals x square plus 2x. Okay, now how am I going to find out the roots of this equation? I know that I can take x common. 0 equals x common, x plus 2. So x equals 0 and x equals minus 2, right? This means that this value would be minus 2 and this value should have been x equals 0. So I have to plot the graph again such that it is passing the origin, ताकि हमारे पास ये दो points है, right? So making of a quadratic curve is not difficult. Before plotting, you should know that what would be these values, just so you can plot the graph accordingly, and what would be this value. Any questions? Any questions, Gayatri?
मिस मुझे ग्राफ समझ नहीं आया.
ओके, क्या समझ नहीं आया ग्राफ में?
ये जो हमारी जो ग्राफ है, जो कर्व बन रहा है
हम्म
एक्स एक्सिस के नेगेटिव स्लोप पे, वो मतलब कैसे बन गया?
क्या मतलब? कौन सा समझ नहीं आया आपको?
नहीं समझ नहीं आया. ये जो कर्व बन रहा है ना,
ओके,
-2
-2 and 0 वाली बात.
जी जी जी.
ओके ओके ओके, अच्छा. नाउ व्हेन वी हैव कर्व्स, ठीक है, वी नीड टू नो कि ये जो कर्व जहाँ से गुजर रहा है इस पॉइंट पे क्या वैल्यू है, राइट? So like this value and this value, these are two important values. Okay, now we know that at this point and at this point, since this is the x-axis, y would be 0. We need to use y equals 0 in this equation to get the values of x. उसका मतलब क्या होगा कि x की वो values जहाँ पे y 0 है, ठीक है? So accordingly, once we use y equals 0 in this equation, we are going to get x equals 0 and x equals -2. And I guess this should be clear. Is it understood now? Okay, let's talk about
Yes, doctor.
another example. Okay, then you will understand it even better. Okay, so let's say okay. Let's say we have x plus 4 square minus, or maybe -2. Now, what is the general form of a parabola? This is the general form, but we know that when we are adding something to x, this point shifts to the left side to and these many units, right? So this is 1 2 3 4. Okay, this point will come somewhere here and right somewhere here. And what would be the value of y? The value of y will be -2. So we know that this point, which initially was 0 0, will become -4 -2. Okay, this is -4, this is -1, this is -2. This is the point. Okay, so this new curve would have this shape. Now we need to find out this blue point, this pink point, and this blue point, this blue point, and this blue point, right? Okay, let's think about it. Let's talk about this point. This is y-axis, this is x-axis. We know that At y-axis, x is 0, and this is the equation. So y equals 0 plus 4 square minus 2 is 16 minus 2. Y equals 14. This is 14, okay? And when we talk about these 2 points, the other 2 blue points, this point and this point, this is the x-axis, okay? So if this is the x-axis, we know that at x-axis, y is 0, right? When y is 0, we need to use y0 in this equation. So what are we going to get? Zero equals x plus 4 square minus 2. This minus 2 will go to that side. 2 equals x plus 4 square. In order to get rid of the square, we will take under root, and this will become plus minus under root 2 equals x plus 4. Again, this is not one equation. We have two equations. One is under root 2 minus 4 equals x, and the other one is minus 2 minus 4 equals x. What x do we get from this equation? Please tell me, calculate the value and tell me. This, and what do we get from this one?
minus 2.58.
Yes, very
Okay.
good. And the other one would be minus 5.41. Haris, are you doing with us? 2.58 and minus 5.41. Okay. So have you understood this? Okay. Gayatri, have you understood this? Yes, no? Okay. So I will give you some questions. I'll give you one question. I want you to do it. Okay. I want you guys to plot it. If I will plot it for you, you will tell me the values, okay? But I want you guys to tell me कि plot कैसे होगा. Now this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Again, we are adding something to x. So our minimum point or maximum point, like this point or maybe this point, will move to 3 units to the left side. Since this is a positive sign, it would be a U-shaped curve. Okay? And what we have is minus 3. So it would be somewhere here. This point is minus 9. It will move 9 units down. Let's say this is minus 9. This would be the curve point. Okay. This would be of this shape. Right? I want you guys to find this point and this point and this point. Okay, I'll label it 1, 2, and 3. Please find it and tell me the answer. You have 3 minutes.
मीन्स वन एक्स की वैल्यू एक 6 आ रही है और एक 0 आ रही है. जो 1 है वो हमारा 6 होगा और जो 2 है वो हमारा 0 होगा.
Okay, so this is 6 and this is 0. Very good.
जी
And what about 3?
वो भी कर रही हूँ.
Okay, take your time.
मीन्स जो 6 है वो हमारा -6 है और जो y जो 3 है ना वो हमारा मेरा 0 आ रहा है.
That should be 0. And this should be -6.
Hmm.
Why? Because
-6.
we are on the
Hmm.
left side of the x-axis. This would be -6, right? And why should this be 3? Because obviously, as I told you, ये rough sketch था, then you have to rub it and draw it again as per your values. ये 6 से गुजरेगा. And ये अगर you are getting this 0, if you are getting x 0, obviously इस point पे y भी तो 0 होता है ना. This is the origin, right? So you are getting the correct values. Very good. So is it understood, Haris?
मेरा एक -6 आ रहा है और मतलब जो उसका था x वाले वो माइनस और 0 और एक 0 का 3 वाला 0 आ रहा है.
Very good, excellent. Okay, so let's talk about another thing. Okay, so imagine that you were asked to plot this. How will you plot this? First, we need to convert it to this form: y equals x plus something plus minus something, right? And only then we can plot it. How do we convert this thing to this type? By completing
Through
square.
completing square method.
Very well done. So can you please both of you do the completing square thing, because we have discussed that already.
मिस जो वैल्यू आ रही है -x+3 होल स्क्वायर एंड -14.
Okay. Okay, so you are getting -6 wholes. What are you getting?
-x+3 होल स्क्वायर -14.
-x+3 whole square -14. Okay, let's see what is the answer. Okay, it looks like it thoda sa missed out. Okay, so okay, this is y equals -x square plus 6x minus 5. The very first step is to take this minus common. We will have x square minus 6x plus 5. Okay, now what we need to do is think about this number. This is 6x. This means that the half of 6 is 3. So we need to add 3 square and we need to subtract 3 square like this. Do you agree? This will give me x square minus 6x plus 3 square minus 9 plus 5. Okay, I can add, subtract anything. I'm trying to complete square. And this is a square and b square. So we have x minus 3 square minus 4. Okay, so this minus will be multiplied here and here. I will get minus x minus 3 square plus 4. This should have been your answer. Okay, check this again. Did you understand? Is this okay, Gayatri and Haris?
Yes, it's all right.
Okay, perfect. Anything that you have not understood in today's session? Anything that is not clear, Haris and Gayatri? Okay, and what about you, Gayatri?
आगे समझ.
Okay, perfect. So I will stop this meeting and stop this class.